Our weekly immigration news roundup is brought to you by the law firm of Figueroa and Associates. For consultation on any immigration or legal matter, please call 855-768-8845. That's 855-768-8845. For full stories and more immigration news, visit www.theimmigrantsjournal.com. That's www.theimmigrantsjournal.com.
Hello, my name is Mary Campbell, legal assistant at the law firm of Figueroa and Associates, and your presenter with this week's immigration news. We begin with, the Biden administration is contemplating measures to safeguard undocumented immigrants who are married to citizens. The Biden administration is exploring the possibility of shielding undocumented immigrants married to U.S. citizens from deportation and granting them access to work permits, as disclosed by two sources familiar with ongoing deliberations. Emphasizing that the plan is still under consideration and subject to change, the initiative, referred to as Parole in Place, aims to facilitate the process for certain undocumented immigrants to obtain a green card and a pathway to U.S. citizenship. According to one of the sources, lawmakers on Capitol Hill have been briefed on the proposal. These discussions coincide with calls from immigration advocates and Democratic legislators urging the administration to prioritize the protection of long-standing undocumented residents. Additionally, President Biden's efforts to court Latino voters in crucial swing states like Nevada and Arizona are factoring into the administration's considerations. Limited deportation flights allow certain nationalities to bypass Biden's extensive asylum restrictions. Due to a scarcity of deportation flights, certain nationalities are managing to circumvent President Biden's comprehensive asylum ban. This phenomenon has emerged as a loophole, enabling individuals from these countries to evade the sweeping restrictions on asylum imposed by the Biden administration. Border authorities have been instructed to prioritize the detention of migrants based on their ease of deportation, with a focus on those who can be swiftly removed from the country. This directive places emphasis on individuals from nationalities classified as hard to remove, necessitating a minimum of 5 days to obtain travel documents, followed by those categorized as very hard to remove, whose governments do not cooperate with U.S. deportation flights. USCIS relaxes security protocols for naturalized survivors of crime. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services declared on Wednesday, June 12, that individuals who have been victims of crime and have obtained U.S. citizenship will no longer face intensified confidentiality measures. This adjustment aims to simplify their process in seeking additional immigration benefits. Persons eligible for and recipients of survivor-based immigration relief, specifically Violence Against Women Act, VA, self-petitioners, and those seeking or with approved T and U non-immigrant status, are entitled to protections under 8 U.S.C. 1367. The confidentiality provisions were enacted to protect non-citizen victims from their abusers' use of the immigration system as a tool to further harm and control them and to limit disclosure of their requests for immigration protection. After a non-citizen victim becomes a U.S. citizen, their abuser no longer has the same means to use the immigration system against the victim. Continuing these safeguards after naturalization causes case processing delays and is more of a hardship than a protection mechanism. Meanwhile, in New York, City Council passes bills to survey migrants' health needs and work obstacles. The City Council passed 2 bills on Thursday, June 6, launching an economic and healthcare survey of migrants and asylum seekers under the city's care, which its sponsor says will help officials better understand and meet the needs of new arrivals. In February, Councilwoman Carlina Rivera introduced the legislation to anonymously survey immigrants. Intro 84A will gather information on skills, economic opportunities, and workforce development obstacles that migrants face, while Intro 85A will focus on their long-term health needs, including chronic conditions and healthcare access. As elected leadership, we must be more proactive in providing opportunities for people to transition out of the shelter system, and into more permanent living situations, Rivera said at a press conference ahead of Thursday's vote on the bills. The surveys, she added, will lay the groundwork for a more effective humanitarian response going forward. In other news, federal authorities advise Fifth Circuit against accelerating parole lawsuit. The Biden administration has opposed a move by a coalition led by Texas to expedite its legal challenge to an immigration initiative benefiting Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. In a filing to the Fifth Circuit, the administration argued that the states would not endure financial harm due to the program during the ongoing legal proceedings. Are more undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. now? Here's what the numbers say. According to a new report from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, about 11.0 million undocumented immigrants were living in the United States in 2022, a 4.6% increase from 2020. This is still a 5.2% drop from the recent high of 11.6 million in 2010. The report from the Office of Homeland Security Statistics further found a steady and significant decline in the number of undocumented immigrants originating from Mexico since 2010, as well as an increase in the average age of all undocumented immigrants. Crucially, nearly 80% of undocumented immigrants in 2022 have been in the country for more than a decade, emphasizing the lack of legal pathways for the long-term undocumented population. Lawsuit accuses Biden administration of violating U.S. asylum law with new border regulations. Immigrant advocacy organizations filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration on Wednesday in a federal court in Washington, D.C., alleging that a recent policy severely restricting asylum for migrants who enter the country between official entry points blatantly disregards established U.S. asylum law. They argue that this policy closely resembles unlawful asylum bans implemented during the Trump administration. CASA calls on President Biden to keep his promise to DACA recipients. With DACA's 12-year anniversary fast approaching on June 15, 2024, CASA issued the following statement, reflecting on the uncertainty that young people with this immigration status face. Immigrant activists call on President Biden to take administrative actions to provide relief and protection for immigrant youth, including DACA holders. CASA Executive Director Gustavo Torres said, "Revamping DACA as a policy signals a powerful message to not only DACA families but to humanity at large, showcasing the compassion and inclusiveness that our nation embodies. President Biden, you have the chance to support immigrants nationwide by enhancing, updating, and expanding DACA to genuinely serve its intended population humanely. The objective has never been to divide families or create anxiety for those seeking refuge in this country. Instead, it is to unite and prove your commitment to being a pro-immigrant leader who prioritizes keeping families and communities intact." And finally, Border Patrol's 100th anniversary offers chance to look back at its disturbing origins. The U.S. Border Patrol turned 100 years old on May 28. Its troubled origins and history form the backdrop for contemporary concerns about the agency, including impunity for abuses against migrants and citizens alike. The Border Patrol Centennial provides an opportunity to shed light on the agency's lack of accountability and to pursue a vision for border communities that is grounded in dignity and human rights. Thank you.
Our weekly immigration news roundup is brought to you by the law firm of Figueroa & Associates. For a consultation on any immigration or legal matter, please call 855-768-8845. That's 855-768-8845. For full stories and more immigration news, visit www.theimmigrantsjournal.com. That's www.theimmigrantsjournal.com.